Hello, creative friends, and welcome to the Stampin' Squad. And today's Surprise Sunday video. Let me see if I can straighten this up a little bit and get it more in the frame. I have something fun I wanted to show you that I was experimenting with recently. Let me get my computer going here, because if you're joining me live, I would love for you to say hello and tell me where you're watching from. Okay, here we go. Let me get this up here so they maybe can see some comments. All right, let me move things around a little bit here. My phone is deciding to slip sideways. And I apologize for the shadow there. If you've been watching me recently, you know that I'm in a temporary living situation. So I'm in a temporary crafting situation. And I gotta say, it's not ideal, but we carry on. We carry on. Okay, so I was designing some cards for a class. We were doing a fall class. And I decided that I wanted to try something with the water painters. So let me show you the things that I used for this. This is a package of water painters. There are 3 of them in here, and there are 3 different brush tips. I'll show you more about these in just a minute because I am going to use those. And then I also used this watercolor paper. Let me get down here so I can see comments a little bit better. Oh, hold on. Let me close this. Now I think I can see better. Okay, so I used this watercolor paper because I'm using water to color. I also used, because this is a fall card, I chose a fall color palette. So I'm using Cajun Craze, Pumpkin Pie, and crushed curry ink. So let's get started. I've just got some scrap paper here to protect this surface, and I've got some paper towels folded here. So let me show you how I'm going to start it out. I've got my crushed curry, and I've got a block. So I'm going to open up my crushed curry ink. And I'm just going to take this block and I'm going to press down on my ink pad, this. And then when I lift it up, you see I've gathered some ink on this block. All right, so that's my crushed curry. I'm going to do the same thing with my pumpkin pie. So let me first open this. There we go. And let me grab another block. And again, I'm just going to press this in to gather some ink like that and put that there. And then last, let's get some Cajun Craze. Same thing, get a little ink on the block. Now, let me show you. I've got these water painters. So now they're out of the package. You can see this one has a very wide brush. This one has a medium, like pointed brush, and this one has a smaller one. So we'll use all 3 today just for fun. Oh, I wanted to show you another way to gather some ink for your project is if you have the re-inkers, you could always just drop a 1 drop of ink on there, 1 or 2 drops, and that will give you some ink to work with as well. So either way works. Now these water painters, they unscrew and you fill them with water. This is just tap water in here. I don't know if you can see that there's water in there, but that's it. And then on the side here, it says push. I don't know if you can see that, push. So you squeeze this and water will come out of the brush. Oh, one other tip. You know when you unscrew and screw something, the way I learned it was left loosey, right tighty. And so this is the opposite. For, I don't know, whatever reason, to unscrew this, you would go to the left, and no, that's wrong. To unscrew it, you go to the right. And then to screw it in tight, you go to the left. So it's the opposite of what I normally think of as opening and closing something. All right, let's get started. So I'm gonna take this right here on top of my paper towel, and I am gonna squeeze it right here just to bring some water down in there. Now, you could have like a little cup of water sitting next to your workspace. I don't know if you can see the water is starting to come out, and I'm just gonna kind of go like this. I'm gonna touch it. I could use a little more water, I think. So let's squeeze a little more into it. Yeah, that's starting to feel a little bit wet. So we're getting that brush ready to go. I'm gonna set this aside. I cut down a piece of that watercolor paper. Before I start, I'm actually going to mist with some water this piece of paper. And that just, I think that gets it a little bit more prepared to take on the ink and the water from the water painter. So I don't know if you can see that. This is what I'm using. It's just like a little continuous spray mister. So I'm just gonna mist this a little bit, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side. It's just a tiny bit, okay? And then we can get started. I am gonna start with the crushed curry, which is the lightest color. So I'm gonna gather a little bit of that, and then I'm just going to start kind of random watercolor on my paper. And you see when I gathered the ink and I first pressed down, it made it darker, which, you know, watercolor has darker and lighter spots in it, but I'm gonna add a little bit of water to my brush, and I'm just gonna come back over here and spread that out a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more ink. And a little more water. Like I said, you could have a cup of water sitting nearby if you wanted to use that. So I think that's enough of the crushed curry. So I'm just gonna set this aside. I'm gonna grab this brush just to use something different. Oh, let me show you real quick. If you want to change colors, okay, again, you could just dip this in a little bowl of water, or you can squeeze some water through it and wipe it on your paper towel. So I'm squeezing some water in there, and see, you can do this. So you do that a few times, it'll take the ink out, and then you can change colors. So you can do that. Let's go to a different one though, just for fun. Squeezing some water into that. So I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more water into it. There we go. And now, I'm going to work with this pumpkin pie. And you know what? I'm going to go right here on my scrap paper, and I'm gonna squeeze the water in there again, just to make sure it's not gonna be too bright when I touch it to the paper. So there we go. I can always add more water if I want it to be lighter. I'm gonna actually bring a little more color. There we go. And this is very random. Now you can do it any way you like. Now see that, I didn't have as much water, so it's darker, but I can squeeze and get a little more water here and spread it around a little bit and soften that a little bit. Let's get a little bit more, and I'm gonna put it right in here. Let's bring some over here. I just like to spread it around. At the end, I have one that I've already done, and I used it kind of a different pattern here. I'm just kind of swirling around, but I did something different with that one. So I want to be sure and show you that one at the end, just to give you a different idea. Really, it's just up to your imagination how you would like your watercolor wash to look. And just a little more, squeezing a little more water in here. And just kind of blending some things around. Okay, now let's go to the darkest color, which is our Cajun Craze here. Squeezing some water into the tip. Let's see how that feels. Let's get a little bit more water. Now this is a very dark color. And you see I'm just working from light to dark. I am gonna bring it over here a little bit and add a little bit of water to it because I don't want it to come out too dark on my paper. So the main thing here is just to cover this because I have cut it down to the size that I want to use as my layer. So you have all the freedom in the world here to do this any way you want. And you know, when you add more water, it just spreads the ink more. So like over here, this is looking very mottled, right? You can see it really blending around there. And I'm just coming over here and picking up a little water. So this is really fun. You just kind of go wild, right? And just do whatever feels good to you in the moment. And I'm just going to bring this right here out a little bit. And I'm just kind of blending things around. So there's no right or wrong way to do this, I guess. That's what I'm saying. You just play with it and make it like you want it. So I'm going to stop there and leave that, move these out of the way. And here it is. Now, I'm going to be doing a tutorial for the card that I made with this layer, all right, this watercolor layer. And so be watching for that because that will be coming up this week. And so you already know how to do this, and then you'll be able to take that and go on and make the card, which is, I have to say, a gorgeous fall card. So fun, so fun. So this is the one we just did. Let me show you this other one because it looks different. And I'll hold them both up here near the camera so you can see them better. But you see, the one that I had previously done has more of the dark. It's got kind of a diagonal pattern to it. And I did not use as much water, right? So it's not as mottled, right? Or not as blended. You can see the colors a little more separately. So those are just two examples of how you can do this. You can do it any way you want. If you want dots and spots on it, you can do that. If you want other shapes on it, you can do that. So it's very versatile, and actually it's really fun and quite relaxing to do this kind of work. All right, that is it. I just wanted to show you how to use these water painters with your ink pads to do this beautiful watercolor wash background. And again, come back because in a few days we'll have a tutorial of how to use this and make a beautiful fall card. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.